Today I'm going to show you how to make some stairs in Rhino and then in Detailer. Here's a little sketch of my basic needs for some FrameCAD stairs. This is only going to have two risers. So here is one riser and here's a second riser. I'm going to use FrameCAD to create a wall, so quote unquote wall. That'll be this part here, and that wall supports this little roof or floor piece here and this roof or floor piece there. The reason why I say roof or floor piece is because you can use either one of those frame types in Detailer. Doesn't really matter as long as you have a 0-degree pitch. There's not going to be any sort of angle to this. It's not an actual roof or an actual pitched floor. The staircase is also going to feature some 2x12s that are going to sit on top of those floor pieces as your tread. So a 2x12 is inch and a half by 11 and a quarter of an inch, right? So 2x12 is a nominal name. Inch and a half is its real thickness. 11 and a quarter is its real width. So the construction guys are going to use that for their staircases. And although I have it noted here as a 1/2 inch nose, I think I'm going to change that to a 1 inch nose. So we'll do a 1 inch nose. We'll have 11 and a quarter inch of tread for our feet. And we'll figure out all of the math as to how to get there. Oh, also, the request was that the risers each were about 6.5 inches. Typically, you want 7 inches, but the request is 6.5. What's going to end up happening is the riser height will be defined by this very first riser, just because of the way it's going to be designed. Let me show you some photos of an actual staircase we've made in the past. This is one made by Roseanne Kings. As you can see, they use some wood, and I donated it to the construction department. They use it all the time. They love it. Okay. The only thing that they had to do when they received it was they had to sort of beef up this little section right here. You can see that there's a whole entire bottom plate for this entire wall, right? And this bottom plate at the end over here, it's the last thing between the floor and this FrameCAD floor. So they had to put an extra stud in there to give it some girth, because down here, right in here, right, as you can see, it's open faced upwards. So when you put pressure down on it, it sort of collapses upon itself, right? So by adding another piece in there, they can really give it some structure, right? Because construction guys are going to be stepping all over this thing, so it needs a lot of rigidity. So here's some video of my, oops, this is a photo of the 2.0 version of this staircase, which is, it's nearly a duplicate of the original one, except I intentionally partially boxed this section here. So we'll learn how to do that today. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Let's go ahead and open up Rhino. So I like to start my projects using Rhino after I've already gotten a sketch. So I sketch my idea out, right? Get it out of my head on a paper using pen, nothing else. Once I have that done, then I'll take it over to Rhino. So Rhino is my 3D modeling software of choice. You can use whatever software you want. SketchUp, AutoCAD, Revit maybe, doesn't matter. As long as you're doing your design thinking with real measurements in some sort of 2D or 3D modeling software other than FrameCAD Detailer, that would be better than jumping right into Detailer. Because Detailer, in my opinion, it's not a design software. It is more of let's go to the software and just create the output that we're going to need, and that's it. There's not much time for you to think about how you want to design this thing. So here I am in Rhino. I'm going to start off with my front elevation. I'm going to draw a polyline, just a nice big polyline. Right, I'll start at the origin, I'm going to make sure ortho is on for this one. And I'm just going to make a big, long horizontal line, right? Not really concerned of the length of that horizontal line. Just making one that's way too big than what I need. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offset a distance of 1 5/8 inch. Actually, that brings a good point. For those of you who are brand new to Rhino, let me start this over. I'm going to do a new project. I'm not going to save this. And I'm going to choose the correct template. For this project, I want you guys to use small objects, inches. We can use either one of these two, feet and inches or just inches. I'll go ahead and use inches. The difference between these two is that the primary unit is inches for both of them, but the display unit will always be feet and inches for this one, whereas this one will just be inches. So I'm going to choose that one. Go to my front viewport, polyline, start at the origin. Nice big long horizontal line, just like that. All right. Next thing that I want to do is I'm going to offset that line 1 5/8 of an inch. And it looks like I'm about to create a closed polyline. I don't need that for this instance, so I'm going to go and minimize this little thing. And for cap, I'm going to say no cap. Right, there you go. So I won't have a cap. I'm going to offset it 1 5/8 inch that way. That ends the command. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to offset it this way, 3 5/8 inch. Okay, like that. That ends the command. So these two lines represent the bottom plate of the wall of the stairs, and then these two lines are representing the floor or roof plate. Okay, so let's go back to my picture. It's like this is that bottom plate, right? Here's a stud. Here's a stud. Here's a stud. This is a noggin. This is a stud. That noggin's also a stud, right? And then here's that bottom plate, right? This whole thing is that bottom plate. This piece right here, right underneath the wood, that's a roof or floor. This piece right here, same thing. This piece right here, same thing. Okay. When you're in Detailer or thinking about designing with FrameCAD, I want you to think of two different planes, vertical plane and a horizontal plane. Anything that's vertical, we're going to call that a wall. Anything that's horizontal, we'll call that a floor or a roof. Okay, that'll be our little game. So let's go back to Rhino. I'm drawing this in the front elevation, so so I'm just looking straight forward at my staircase from one side. All right, and now I want to offset from that last line 1.5 inches for the tread. Okay, so I'm going to offset that one that way, 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to do another polyline from here to here. Okay, I'm going to do another one from here to here. And let's go ahead and change my layer colors. It's just a little bit too bright. It's not really that great. Let's try cyan. There we go. I'm going to take this line, offset it 1 inch. Okay. I'm going to use the fillet command. I'm going to make sure my radius is set to 0 so I can make a sharp corner. I'm going to fillet from here to there and do that again from there to there. Okay. When I repeat a command, I'm using the right click on my mouse or enter or spacebar. Either one works, but that's a quick way to not have to type in that command all over again. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to take this line, I'm going to offset it the width of a 2x12. So a 2x12 is a nominal name. The actual width of a 2x12 is 11 1/4. So I'm going to type in 11.25 inches. And make sure I go to the right. And I'm going to leave that line right there. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this line there. You should be able to sort of see your stairs come to life, right? This is almost nearly one stair. Okay, I'm going to select line down here, use the extend command, and this time I'm going to type it correctly. Extend. Extend to this boundary object, press enter. I'm going to select this curve to extend, press enter. I'm done with that. Okay. And then for this next part, I can almost just get rid of all of this and then copy what I've done for the first step and copy it up. So I think I'll do that and do less work, less math, and therefore I'll likely make less mistakes if I pay really good close attention to the dimensions of this piece right here. It is likely that if I just use it and copy it, I won't make any other mistakes. So I'm going to trim. I'm going to use this as my cutting object, and then enter, and then go ahead and select all of these lines here, and then end that command. Next thing I can do is take all of this, type in copy, and I'm going to copy it from this end point to this end point. All right, almost there. I'm going to use the fillet command, fillet this and that. I'm going to offset 1 5/8 this way and this way. Okay. Fillet again with a 0-inch radius, and I'm going to fillet these two like that. I'll fillet these two. Actually, no, I'm not going to fillet these two. Undo, actually. Let's just extend. I'm going to extend using this line. Extend that curve there. All right. I'm going to use this line to trim this piece away. All right. That's basically the stairs. Okay. It'll make more sense soon. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is over here in my layers palette, I'm going to call this one wall. I'm going to begin to 3D model, but I want to make sure that I stay organized. I like to use this really dark green color for my steel. So what I'm going to do from here is I need to extract the outline of what the wall is here. Okay. So I'm going to go to that, make this wall layer the current layer by hitting this little checkbox down there. And I'm going to take these curves here and I'm going to type in trim, and I'm just going to try that again. I'm going to select all the lines this time, and I'm going to hit trim, and let's go ahead and actually, I think I have a better way. Let's go back to this view, and in this perspective view, I'm going to use all of these as a guideline. So I'm going to lock my default layer. I'm in the wall layer. I'm going to use a box, and I like to use a 3-point box. So I'm going to start the box here, end the box there. I'm going to go in that direction, a distance of 3 5/8, because that's the width of my steel. And then the height will be 1 5/8. There we go. That's representative of a bottom plate. Notice I am not concerned about the actual section profile, right? Just make a box, 3 5/8 inch box by 1 5/8 inch. Although we're here in a 3D modeling environment, we're still sort of sketching, right? This is a design tool. We're using it to sketch, okay? So pieces might intersect, but we really don't need to put too much detail into this model, okay? I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to copy it. I'll copy it from here to there, hit escape a couple times, and take this one. I'm gonna scale it down, but only in one direction, not in two, all right, and not in three, one direction. So scale 1D, and I'm going to scale it from this base point to wherever it ends to wherever I want it to end. Okay, that's what that looks like there. I'm going to go ahead and take that little piece. There's a couple ways I can do this, but I can take this little piece and I can copy it, or I could just make a whole new box. So I'll just make a new box, might be easier. All right, for this new box, I'm going to go from this endpoint to this endpoint to this endpoint to there. I'm going to go from this endpoint to this endpoint to this endpoint to there. Okay, that's essentially my wall. Okay, so nothing really to it. This is a very simple project. I'm going to turn off all of these lines from the default layer by clicking on that light bulb. Okay, I'm going to observe my work. It looks decent. I'm going to take all this and select it and type in a command called group. This just groups it together, so I can't manipulate or select just one of those pieces of that group. I'm forced to move them all at the same one time. Every time I select one of them, I'm selecting them all. So I'm going to undo. All right. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go to the top view. Looks like I'm in wireframe mode here and here and here, but this one's in shaded mode. So I'm going to go to shaded here. I'm going to repeat that command here, and I'm going to repeat that command here. I'm going to select all using Control A. I'm going to type in ZSA, zoom, select all. From here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a polyline from my origin and go horizontal. I'm not snapping to any part of my wall so far. And that command, offset 32 inches. I'm going to select that line, and I'm going to offset it that way to 32. I'm going to select this wall. I'm going to type in copy, and I'm going to use these two endpoints, just like that. Hit escape, and come in here, and I'm actually going to move this. It's supposed to be within this line, so I'm going to move it. And move from here to here, or 3 5/8. All right. So what is that? That is representative of the 32-inch width requirement from our client, the construction department. So if I type in dim, distance from here to here, see that that is 32 inches, which is perfect. Okay. So those are the two walls we're going to need for this project. I'm going to go over here to layer 2. I'm going to rename it to floor or roof. Doesn't really matter what you choose in Detailer. For this one, let's use gold. This one will keep it super simple. We're not even going to model every single stud, although we could. Maybe I will. I'm going to do a box. That box is going to go from this corner to that corner to this corner, and it's going to go up a distance of 3 5/8. Oops. Select that and put it on this layer. Change object layer. Make this layer current. All right. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more detail to this wall. I'm going to choose box again. We go from here to here to there. Let's go 1 5/8 inch. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. Here to here to here, 1 5/8 inch this way. And then let's go from here to there, 1 5/8 inch that way. All the way down here, and let's go from there to there, 1 5/8 inch, and down to here. Okay, delete this original box, and voila. Pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. I'm going to take one of these, I'm going to copy it from its midpoint to the midpoint of this piece. Hit escape a couple times, hold shift and select all of these pieces and group them. And I'm going to copy it from there to here. All right. Let's get another layer going. We'll call this one wood. Okay. We'll change it to some sort of woodish color. All right. Maybe the floor or roof can be something subtle. Let's use lavender. All right. So for the wood, I'm going to go to that layer, make that layer current. I'm going to grab a box command. I like the 3-point box. I'm going to go from here to there. And I'm not going to stop here, right? If I look down below, right here, notice down there, once I snap to this point, it says 10.25 inches. Instead, I'm going to type in 11.25 inches because that's how wide a 2x12 is. Okay. And that height, I'm going to make it 1.5 inches because that's the height of a 2x12. Okay. Now, sometimes this will happen where that 1.5 inches height, even though you instructed that height to go upwards, sometimes it'll go downwards. So easy fix, select it, type in M for move, and move it from one endpoint to another, right? You're just moving it up 1.5 inches. Let's go and grab that, copy it, there, and voila. We have a pretty good idea of what our staircase is going to look like. Now they might want to extend these two pieces a little further this way and a little further this way. And if they did, they might want to keep it consistent with their 1-inch nose here, right? So if I type in distance, this should be a 1-inch nose. Okay. So if I wanted to model that, I would select both of these things, scale 1D in one direction, go from this midpoint to here. That is equal to 16 inches. But if I say make that 17 inches, let's try that again. Select both of these, scale 1D. My base point will be this midpoint. My first reference point will be this end point, which is 16 inches away from that midpoint. My second reference point, I'm going to go out to the right, and I'm going to say 17 inches. Now, there's a nice 1-inch nose all the way around. Okay, so this is just me taking my sketch to the next step, right? Me plugging in real numbers. My hand sketch may not always be perfect, right? The scale of some of these things, this is a very rough sketch, right? But taking it into Rhino, gets me to that next level of detail, right? Before I actually have to get to Detailer, where there's a higher level of detail. So, all right, satisfied with that. You'll need to screenshot this for the assignment. I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and I'll save it right here under, call it, change the date. So I can save both copies. All right, I'm going to leave this open whilst I navigate back to Detailer. So let's go over to, let's close some of these. As you can see, I've already done this file, so I'm going to go File, New. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that under Edit, Frame Types, I have all of these frame types already here. You would have done that in the last session. You would have created all those new frame types. So if you haven't done that already, go back to the last session, see what happened. Also, under Edit and Machine Setups, you should have one machine setup. No demo one, just F325IT, Orange Coast College. We've got 2 sections here. All of this information is accurate. If you don't have that, go back to the last session, see what happened. Okay, that should have been made available to you. Well, that information was available to you. You should have done this yourself. Let's hit OK and change the properties of this project. I'm going to call it CNST. I want to be very aware of what I call these things. So the name of this project will actually is supposed to show up on the stud, on every single stud when we go to print this thing out. So I'm going to hit OK. So I want to keep that name short. I don't want to call it construction steel staircase. That'd be a very long name, and I don't have very much room on any of these studs. So keep these names short. Click on Add New Plan. Rename that plan, Properties. I'm going to call it STRS1. Okay. Now, you should have this drop-down menu with all of these different panel types. I'm going to choose External Wall, and I'm going to place Frame. Typically, I like to start at the origin, which it doesn't seem like there might be an origin in this software, but there is. So start coordinate 0, 0, enter. Okay, there's my origin. Now this distance here, I'm going to go back to my Rhino model, and the distance in question, use the distance command, is this distance. What is the length of the wall? According to my sketch, my 3D sketch, it's 20.5 inches. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to draw it up and down, 20.5 inches. Okay. Now, the software wants me to figure out which side to put this wall on based off of the line that I just drew. So it can either go on the center line, it could go on the left side, it could go on the right side. For this, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to select the center. Now I can make another wall, right? The command line says start coordinate. I'm going to hit escape a couple times. I just want to make that one wall. Select that wall by right-clicking it and going to properties. Make sure you have a 0 pitch on that wall so it's not angled. Let's go to main. The length we had already determined to be 20.5 inches. The height, let's go back to our Rhino model. Type in distance. Distance of the height of the uppermost part of this wall is 8.375. Okay, so let's type in distance again, and let's get that distance in a different unit than the model units, because right now we're seeing it in decimals. So let's hit model units. Let's hit fractional inches, and let's say 0.8 and point B, 8 3/8 of an inch. Let's go back to Detailer. 8-3/8 inches. No pitch offset. Stud spacing, sure. Let's say 2 foot. Use nog, sure. All right, everything else is fine. Hit build. You get one very basic wall. You can take away these 2 dimensions. They're always too gigantic. Double click on the middle wheel button to zoom in closer. Okay, so we need to make this look like that. So step 1, let's figure out where this piece goes. So type in distance. And it goes from here to here, 10 1/4 of an inch. Okay. I'm going to draw a polyline, PL, enter. I'm going to draw that line. Let's draw it back here. We'll call this the back of the step. I like to make my construction lines, my guidelines, like way too gigantic, just like that. Hit enter, hit escape a couple times. The reason why I do that is I don't want to make a dinky little one that's exactly the size that I need. I want to be able to see it later on and say, I probably don't need that anymore. I'm done using that construction or guideline. I'm going to delete it. So I usually make it stick out like a sore thumb. Offset that, 10.25. Offset this guy towards the left. Make sure you have this near snap on. Make sure that while you have that on, you're snapping to the near, but you're also on the left side, or the side that you want to be on, that tells you what direction it's going to offset in. Okay, so let's do that again. I'm snapping to this line. My cursor is also on the left side of that line, and voila, there you go. So what I need is a vertical member right here. So I'm going to go back. This is my goal, right? You can even turn off your floor or roof, and you can even turn off, let's go to just wall, turn off the wood. This is your goal right here, just this, making this one. Okay. So I'm going to take ST1, I'm going to move it, I'm going to snap to its near, and I'm going to make sure to go to the furthest left side of it. Then I'm going to move it towards the right, snap to that near side, and hit escape a couple times, and that's what you get. Okay. Next thing would be to trim TP1, right? Because it can't go that far. So let's try using trims or extends entities, TE. Select object and side to trim/extend to. I always get this wrong. So let's select here and select objects to trim/extend. Let's select here. Let's press enter. I got it right. Wow. I'm really lucky. I'm using Alt Tab to bounce back and forth between softwares. Looks pretty right. I can check some things like type in distance. What's this distance? 10 1/4. I know that's right. Distance from here to here, 8 3/8. 8 3/8. So I'm pretty much there. The only thing that I do want to do here is beef up BP1. So let's look into how to beef up BP1. I'm going to go ahead and select BP1. I'm going to copy. I'm going to copy it from this base point to this other point. Okay. We got just a fictional BP1 that I'm not going to need, but I'm going to use it to illustrate how to partially box. So right click on BP1, box, go to partially boxed, click add for offset. Let's offset it 2 inches. Let's see what that means. And the length of it, let's make it 6 inches. Okay, so let's hit OK, and let's see what that means. So if I draw a polyline from this furthest left side, offset that a distance of 2 inches to the right, and then offset again a distance of 6 inches. That's what that means. Okay, so what does that mean here? I need to make something that's about that big, right? So let's do a dimension from here to about there. That's about 10 1/8. Now, if I were to do this staircase again, based off of what I observed when I printed this last week, is instead of having that partial box go all the way over here, I'm going to have it end and terminate somewhere over here, which will still bring a lot of rigidity. Notice that when you partially box something, what happens is that this is exactly what happens, right? One profile and another profile meet, they marry, and they make this a partial box. And now a full box just means that the whole entire length of the stud is boxed. Okay, so with this idea in mind, let's go ahead and right click BP2, go to boxing, go to partially box. I should not need to offset, right? This represented the offset distance, right? I don't need to offset. I want it right at the end. But the length of it, let's make it 9.5 inches, just to be nice and safe. Let's hit add, or let's hit OK. Field offset, okay. This field needs to have a value, so I'll give it a value of 0 inches and hit OK, and voila. Delete all that. Okay. So now we have a partial box. It's only 10 inches long, or sorry, 9.5 inches long. Delete that guy. Okay. I'm going to delete these two really awkwardly long lines. Okay. There you go. There's one side of the stairs. Now I can add in a couple other features if I wanted to, based off of some of the tools that I have with my machine. So let's explore doing that. Let's say I wanted a service hole for some weird reason, and I'll select service hole from my list of tools. I'm going to place that explicit operation, and I define a point A and a point B, and boom, just like that, escape, escape. Even move this line in post, but you'll see that in the webs of these studs, I'll get some big holes for running electrical or plumbing. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. All right, that's one wall. Now, this being a staircase, I'm going to need two walls. So I'm going to type in polyline, PL. I'm going to snap to any part of this left side. Make a line that's really, really long. Offset, 32 inches. This direction. Take this guy. Copy him. From here to there. Hit escape, hit escape. Right click, properties. I'm going to clone this wall to my first wall. Okay. Okay. And basically, whatever I do to this wall, it should occur to that one. I can't even edit this one here. If I go to double click it, I can't do anything to edit it. I'd have to edit this one, double clicking that, make some changes here for any change to occur in EX2. So that's a really smart way to go about it. So that way you don't end up with two unique sides of the staircase. Right, I'm going to delete these two right there. All right, so those are the walls. Now all I need to do is make the roof. So I'm going to use all this as reference. So I'm going to go to, instead of external wall, let's use a roof panel. Let's place that frame. Let's go from, so for roof panels and floor panels, you have to define them by their vertices. So I'm going to attempt to snap to the endpoint. I should probably turn it on. This endpoint, that endpoint. You can see there's an endpoint right here where the stud occurs, and then this endpoint here. Hit enter. Hit escape a couple times. All right. Let's go ahead and right click, go to properties, make sure that the pitch is set to 0. We do not need to give this thing a pitch. All right. Let's go to main. Okay, I'm going to leave all these the way they are. I'm going to hit build. I'm going to take out whatever that thing is. And I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to copy from its midpoint. Make sure midpoint snap is on. From that midpoint to the midpoint of TP1. Escape, escape. That's about it. So let's go to Rhino. Let's turn on floor. Let's turn off wall. Let's just make sure our measurements are correct. Here to here, 32 inches. Here to here, 10 and a quarter. 10 and a quarter. 24 plus 8 is 32. Seems perfect to me. The only thing I might want to consider, and I'm not sure that this will work properly or anything, but a machine operation that I could potentially experiment with that might help me attach a tread would be a left or right flange cut. Okay, so define a point from here to here. Oops, place that explicit operation here to here. Okay, actually do a left flange cut. Left flange notch. Okay, let's draw another polyline from the midpoint of TP1 and go just straight down like that. I'm going to mirror, use this horizontal line, and I'm going to select this, and it'll mirror it on it. I'll select this guy, and actually, escape, mirror, select this line, select this guy, select this guy. There we go. So my thought process for this is that if I take away the flange and these two areas right here of ST1, it might produce a weak joint. But by only taking away one side of that, one flange of that stud, it'll give me an access point for my drill to be able to attach this floor on the other side where there is still a flange and attach that to my 2x12 tread. So I'll have to screw it in from the top, and if I do that, right, water will seep in through that hole. But instead, if I screw in from the bottom, I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So delete that. Delete that. I don't need these measurements because they're already reflected right here. So I delete that. Delete that. Okay. You can hit close and take R01, copy. We copy it from this corner to this corner. Right? I'm going to right click on R02, properties, clone to R01. So that way, no matter what I do to R02, or what I do to R01, it will occur to R02. And now I'm just going to move these big, ugly labels. I'm going to move this label there. Just select that roof. Find this little point. Move that there. And I'm going to take this, try to take this wall, and then move this label out here. Delete them. I still want them there for my classmates and colleagues to know. Right? And there you go. Let's go ahead and save. Something we didn't really do yet. Okay. I'm typing 250318 2 risers. Oops. It'll be saved as a FrameCAD project. Save. And save. And from here, you can go to File, Print Drawings, select all. Oh, looks like because I changed some properties of R01, it's got this big red X. So I'm going to go back. Let's go to R01, double click it. Now it's got a huge red X. Basically, we modified something about R01, and I think it was just us moving that label around. So we just need to tell it, don't worry, it's fine. Frame is okay. So click on Frame OK. That red X will go away. Hit OK. File, Print, Drawings, select all, print. Use whatever PDF printer that you have. And I'll drop it right here, 250318. Okay. Here's what it looks like. I'm seeing my plan view of the project. Here's one wall. Here's another wall. I'm sorry. This is a roof. So one wall, one roof. Right? I don't need a whole nother set of 2 drawings to explain the other wall because it's the same as this wall. I don't need another set of drawings to explain this duplicate, right? Because it's the same instructions. So that's that. And then I can also go to, if you click on construction, right, your project, you can see down here, total weight, 8.873 pounds. That is super light. So that's 4 stairs. That's for 2 frames. Wow. This is not going to cost very much money at all. So, oh, that's for my external walls. So let's get my calculator out. 8.873 is the amount of walls in this project. And then as far as floor panels go, oh, here we go. Here's our totals right here. So roof panels, so 23.681. So let's go back to my calculator, hit escape a couple times. 23.681 times, and now it's about $1.34 per pound for the steel. So all in all, each one of these staircases that we'll make is worth about $32 of steel. Okay. So go ahead and go through this whole entire exercise, screenshot your Rhino file, and then attach your PDF drawing for the assignment, and that'll be it. All right. Thank you.